Imagine waking at dawn on a floating house. The world is a slow ribbon of water. Birds sketch the sky. A wooden paddle taps the side of the boat like a soft metronome. You step out, and the mist lifts to reveal a market moving on water, a temple silhouette on the distant bank, and children fishing with lines of braided hope. This is Cambodia's riverscape, alive, noisy, intimate, and ancient.
Welcome to Ancient Echoes, where we trace the threads of Cambodia's past into the present. I'm your host, Sam Nang Bradley.
And I'm Rachana Solve. In today's episode, we're following the lifeblood of Khmer life, the Tonle Sap and the Mekong, to understand how waterways shaped settlement, trade, ritual, and memory. We'll move from Angkorian logistics to floating villages, from fish migrations to festival songs. Let's unpack that.
Over the next hour, we'll map the rivers, trace their history, listen to the ways communities live with and by water, and offer practical, respectful advice for visitors who want to learn without disrupting. The evidence shows us that river systems are not just geography, they're a cultural archive.
First, a quick orientation. The Mekong is Southeast Asia's great artery, flowing from the Tibetan Plateau through China, Laos, Thailand, and into Cambodia before emptying into the South China Sea. The Tonle Sap is a connected but remarkable system. In the wet season, the river reverses and the lake expands dramatically, turning floodplains into a vast inland sea.
Listen closely. That reversal, what scientists call the Tonle Sap flood pulse, is the single most important ecological event for Cambodian agriculture and fisheries. It drives seasonal movements of fish, replenishes soils, and shaped where people settled for centuries. In the history of Angkor, waterways were as important as roads or walls.
From a cultural standpoint, rivers structured public life. The Khmer Empire, which built Angkor Wat and the surrounding temple complex, invested heavily in water management, canals, reservoirs, and barais that regulated water for rice production and movement. The pattern shows us that water engineering was central to political power and urban planning.
Think of Angkorian logistics as a conversation between people and water. Boats moved goods, timber, salt, ceramics, along these streams and channels, carrying not just commodities, but ideas, artisans, and religious symbols. Trade routes on the Mekong linked Khmer polities with neighbors and distant markets. That's where the richness lies, in the exchange.
Archaeologists and hydrologists working together reveal how flood patterns influenced where temples were built and abandoned. The deeper story is how communities responded to changing water realities by adapting rice cycles, altering craft production, and maintaining oral maps of safe channels. These practices are cultural memory encoded in daily life.
Now, let's listen to the river's rhythm. The Tonle Sap's annual expansion in the monsoon is dramatic. The lake grows up to 6 times its dry season size. As the waters rise, fish follow the flood into inundated forests and fields to spawn. Families time planting and harvesting to these pulses. The ecology and the calendar are braided together.
The migratory fish, some of the world's most productive inland fisheries, are central to diet and economy. Traditional knowledge tells communities where schools will appear, when to set nets, and which habitats to protect. Anthropologically speaking, those knowledges are valuable ecological data passed down through song, story, and apprenticeship.
Seasonality shapes social life too. Market rhythms, religious festivals, boat races, and even marriage timings connect to when water is high or low. The water dictates movement. In flood season, roads can vanish and floating markets become primary marketplaces. The elders taught us how to read these shifts like weathered maps.
Let's move from ecology into everyday livelihoods. Along rivers, you'll find floating villages, stilt houses, and boat building yards where artisans carve hulls to steer life through tides. Craftspeople blend speed and stability, longboats for trade, shallow keels for flooded forests, and ornate prow carvings that carry lineage motifs. The beauty is in the details.
Fishing techniques vary. Cast nets, lift nets, fish traps set in channels at ebb tide, and markets connect villages to provincial towns. Travel by boat is not only practical, it's social. People exchange news, gossip, foods, and seeds. In our conversations with river communities, we heard countless oral histories that place ancestors at river bends, narrating migrations, droughts, and bounties.
Culture and memory surface in song and ritual. Water festivals honor the river's gifts. Offerings ask for safe passage. Laments remember lean years. The tradition teaches us that rivers are both resource and personified presence in local cosmologies, an ethical relationship that guides stewardship.
Of course, these systems face pressures: hydropower development upstream, changing rainfall patterns, and market forces that alter livelihoods. We must avoid romanticizing river life. The complexity here is real. Communities adapt, but also negotiate loss. That's why supporting community-led conservation and cultural documentation matters.
If you travel to Cambodia and want to visit river communities, consider these principles. Travel slowly. Hire local guides and boat operators. Bring gifts that communities request rather than assumptions, and prioritize organizations led by local people when donating or volunteering. The research tells us that ethical listening, bearing witness without extracting, is crucial.
For visual context, check the show notes for Samnang's YouTube channel, where we share respectful footage of river routes, craft demonstrations, and maps that we were shown by community partners. Tag your photos and stories with hashtag Rivers of Memory and with our handle so we can amplify community voices, not exploit them.
Before we wrap, the layers matter. Waterways shaped Angkorian power and village survival. They hold ecological rhythms that sustain millions, and they carry songs and stories that keep memory alive. Consider this perspective when you read maps or plan journeys. The rivers are living archives.
We hope this hour helped you see how the Tonle Sap and Mekong are more than scenic backdrops. They are agents in Cambodia's story. If this episode resonated, please share your river photos or memories with us on social media. Tag Ancient Echoes and Sam Nang Bradley's YouTube for related visuals. Let's keep the conversation and the care flowing.
Gentle outro music fades in softly. That brings us to the end of this episode of Ancient Echoes. We hope these stories helped you see Cambodian history and culture in a deeper, more human way.
The echoes of the past live on in people's voices, memories, and everyday lives. Thank you for listening and for making space for these stories.
If this episode resonated with you, please follow Ancient Echoes on your favorite podcast app and share it with someone who might appreciate these conversations.
You can also connect with us and share your own stories or questions at our social handles and on Sam Nong's YouTube channel. We'd love to hear how these echoes sound in your life.
Until next time, thank you for listening to Ancient Echoes. Let's unlock the echoes of history together.
In the quiet of night, I whispered my plea, holding her close, hoping for her decree. I called upon spirits, asked them to guide, to take her heart and lead her by my side. So I drew her near, traced her brow so fair, my sight this way. Sacred power, Swahai, mighty spirit awakened by the master's right. Let her heart be gently taken. Let her follow me now by vow and by sign. I hear these words, oh teacher, witness this plea. Oh, my sacred power, Swahai.